I'm Marcy Barron, and this is Mondays with Marcy. I'm your homeward bound guide to everything 5D living. I can't wait to share with you tips and tools to guide your personal transformation so that you can live a life that thrills you. Hello, and welcome to this week's Mondays with Marcy. I am Marcy Barron, your host, and today we are talking about the 4 stages of womanhood. So, one of my favorite teachers, I went on retreat with her, is Rebecca Campbell. She wrote the book Rise, Sister, Rise, Light is the New Black. And I just love her teachings and all that she embodies as a thought leader on this planet. So I'm going to be speaking from her book and her teaching and then my reflection on it. So when I found this out, I just found this fascinating and I wanted to share this with you. Okay, so there are 4 main stages that a woman journeys through over the course or duration of her life. They are the maiden, the mother, the wild and wise woman, and the crone. And each of these periods of transition are generally marked by 4 significant life-changing events. So for the maiden, it's menstruation. For the mother, it's typically about sex or marriage or partnership. For the wild and wise woman, it is childbirth. And for the crone, it's menopause. So what I find fascinating and what I have been understanding, a big part of why our culture, women and men, is there haven't been a lot of ceremonies or rituals to usher in each new life stage. And there are some in some traditions, but typically a lot of that has gone awry. And typically in ancient times, women and men were initiated into each stage of their womanhood. So when my daughter, she's 16 now, when she got her period, I had an initiation with her. I put her on my healing table and I did a ritual with her, ushering her into, I guess, this maiden phase of her life, which she is currently in. So for most women, the menstrual cycles are connected to phases of the moon. And the moon controls so much of the earth's energy, the water, the ebb and the flow of the tides. And since we are made up of water, it typically helps control our cycles. So a lot of women bleed with the new moon. A lot of women bleed with the full moon. I know myself, I went into labor with my son Josh on the full moon. My water broke 3 weeks early. So many women in their cycles, they feel out of control. They feel like, oh, I'm on this roller coaster. But if you can use and understand your stages of womanhood, if you can unlock, as Rebecca says, the power of your period, of your menstrual cycle, you are in a different place and space of empowerment instead of being at the mercy of the hormones, out of the the changes. So your period and these stages of your life become a deepening of your femininity, a deepening of the wisdom, the creation, the power of the feminine. It's interesting. I was having a conversation with one of my clients recently, And we were talking about the power of the feminine, and she was like, I always thought feminine was weak. And I was like, oh no, honey. Feminine energy is so powerful and potent. It's been perceived in this time of masculine dominance as being weak, but it really is not. So let's just talk about the 4 female stages of womanhood and also how they relate to the monthly cycles. And again, a lot of this is through Rebecca's eyes, and I just truly trust her. And I want to just, again, give you commentary and support around that. All right, so the first stage is the maiden. This is the pre ovulation part of the cycle of your period. So the maiden, think about the maiden in folklore. She's young, she's enthusiastic, she's strong, she's independent, she's determined, she's excitable, she's hopeful, she's got courage, right? You know, she's got that energized positivity, boundless energy. She's excited about the future. And while she's young and what she doesn't have in years, she makes up for that enthusiasm, that zest for life, right? The maiden is the virgin. She's the innocence, and she has that potential for everything in herself and what she's looking at. So she's that magic. Every light aspect, as we know, has a shadow aspect. So the maiden can be seen as naive, she could be seen as self-centered, she could be inexperienced and maybe not in her power. She's lacking confidence. She's not motivated to actually execute on all of those ideas. She might be easily discouraged as she's not fully grounded in her ideas and in her power. And she might say yes because she doesn't want to miss out or doesn't feel empowered in her no. Okay. And there's a season that goes with the maiden. It's the spring, right? So what happens with the spring? Buds, right? New life coming on, all potential and possibility. So this is the new moon energy, right? It's like there's the energy of possibility, the energy of manifestation, the energy of building on something. And the rite of passage is when it's called menarche. It's like getting the period. It's when you become a woman. And if you, want to rise and embody this, this is where you are brainstorming, you're playing, you're dreaming, you're in your creation of what could possibly be. You're not thinking about what might not be or how it would happen. You're thinking about like what it is that you want to create. Okay. So that is the pre-ovulation place. It's like you're just in that. And if you're currently a woman, you're not getting your period, you're not in that teenage years. When you are in that pre-ovulation place, and I really would encourage you to get a period tracker if you don't have it, so you really can tune into, okay, when am I getting my period? When am I in my pre-ovulation? When am I and looking at the moon, like really start to pay attention to this, because we are natural beings and we are in flow with what nature is about. We're not separate. Okay, so the second stage in this incredible stage of womanhood is the mother. This is the ovulation, right? This is when the egg bursts through the ovary. And the mother is the fertile part of us. She's the part of us that births things into the world for real. Okay? She's compassionate, protective. The mother is nurturing. She's devotional. She's understanding, encouraging, and big hearted. And I just love Rebecca's words. Those just make me feel such like a nurturing mother, right? This love. She's nurturing, and she's also committed to doing whatever it takes to get the job done. And if you know any mother, she's determined. She takes that energy, those ideas, that enthusiasm, and she turns it into focused action, right? She's able to birth both life, right? Like a creation energy of a woman is birthing life as well as creations into the world. You'll be able to manifest your ideas. And I see this in my mind as, your third eye, your creativity. You bring it down into your womb space, into your sacral, and you birth it out. You get an idea, inspiration, imagination, and bring it down into the sacral. So if the loving light side of the mother is compassionate, protective, and nurturing, devotional, and understanding, what's the shadow mother? Overprotective, smothering, not taking care of herself, right? Just putting everybody's needs ahead of hers. It could be controlling and codependent, abandoning of herself and others. There's that exhaustion. There's no nurturing for herself or others. The shadow mother, she doesn't know when to stop, and she might make others feel guilty for not needing her. So again, we all have light and dark, shadow and light. And so that's the shadow aspect of mother energy. Within ourselves as women, you might see that within your own mother. The season of the mother and the ovulation is summer. Everything is fertile. Summer, bloom, blossom, everything's just happening in blossom. And so this moon phase is the full moon. So for the mother, the moon phase is full. The rites of passage could be marriage or partnership. When you get into partnership, then you're co-creating. And birth, meaning, right, you become a mother when you birth someone into the world, a baby, but it could metaphorically be, if you don't have children, you're in that stage of life where you're birthing a creation. You're bringing something into the world, someone or something into the world. So as the mother, and you're in that ovulation stage, many of us know when we're ovulating, it's like we feel great, we look great, we're like attracting, we feel that attraction. And in this mother stage, it's an ideal time to commit to what's rising. That's when you're able to launch something, create something, host something, and you're able to really put something into the world, birth it into the world, whether it's a person or an idea. The third phase of the woman's stage of the woman's life is the wise, wild woman. So this is now you've ovulated, and now this is the part where you're premenstrual. So the wise, wild woman is uninhibited and wise. She's journeyed through maidenhood and motherhood. She knows who she is, and she isn't afraid to show it. This is also known as the medicine woman or the healer, right? She's in touch and recognized her inner medicine, her magic, her power. She's in touch with her worthiness, and she hears her intuition, and she trusts her guidance. There is, according to Rebecca, a certain ruthlessness about her because she can see through what is important and what isn't. With the wise, wild woman, you cannot pull the wool over her eyes. She knows her power, and she demands your respect. So she's fierce. She's not afraid of what people think. She's not afraid to do what it takes and get what she wants. So those are the light aspects of the wise wild woman and the premenstrual stage. Again, you may not be in this part of your life after maidenhood and motherhood, but if you, let's say, are in the mother energy, and but you can tap into this premenstrual energy. But what happens in the shadow of premenstrual? Crazy, ruthless, angry, jealous, impatient, emotional, as people say, right? But that's the season of things are falling away. That's the autumn season. And that's the waning moon. Things are like the moon is going back to not being seen. So, and I've told my daughter this too, is like premenstrual is a great time if you can look into it as seeing, oh, this becomes the time when all of the things that have been bothering you come up to the surface, to be witnessed, to be noticed, to the things that you've been shoving down. You get to look at that. Why are you anxious? Why are you cranky? Why are you, emotional? And so many of us have been told, push down your emotions. The premenstrual part and this wise woman stage of our lives, which is premenopause, is this time where you can really tap into the medicine and the magic. So this rite of passage is about significant loss or mourning. It could be a death or a loss of a job, separation, an emotional ending, maybe children leaving home. And you might be being initiated into the truth of who you are, whether by life circumstances, by a mentor, or a teacher. Okay? So this is the place where you are letting things go. Just like fall, the leaves go, it's a place for you to literally transmute all of your feelings ultimately into something better. This is the phoenix. The phoenix has to burn before it can rise. You've got to literally declutter and just let go, let go, let go, let go. And that's what happens in the premenstrual stage. It's like, what's coming up to be transmuted, to be changed? And this is the wise, wild woman. This part, I believe, has very much been feared in our society. She's uninhibited and wise, and that potent, powerful feminine energy is, I hear my intuition, I trust her guidance. That's my inner compass. That has been completely dismissed by society. This woman who is like the healer, the medicine woman, the witch. What is the witch? The witch has always been an empowered woman who uses inner magic, alchemy, herbs, intention with words, which they call spells. Witches were burned, right? So it's an interesting, magical, potent time, misunderstood, and I would say persecuted. And it's scary, right? That premenstrual, oh, she's just PMS. It's very powerful. You get a chance to look at what's coming up for you, and then in this last stage, which is the crone, the menstruation, the actual letting go. Okay, so the crone is the menstruation stage, it's the fourth stage. And in ancient societies, the crone, the older woman, the menopausal woman, was revered. I remember studying New York State indigenous culture, the Algonquins, with my kids when they were like in fourth and fifth grade, and it was a matriarchal society. It was where the women were the wisdom keepers. They were the ones who were the decision makers and the holders of the sacred community and wisdom of the tribe. So the crone, she's not given the reverence she deserves in our society. However, she really, that's what's returning to this planet, is the return of the ancient goddess, the older women who truly are the wisdom keepers. She's got the ultimate perspective. She's got nothing left to prove. She's able to see with clarity and advise in a selfish way, unselfish way, selfless way. And she's got no ulterior motives. She's got patience, and she no longer cares about what people think. Now, as we see in our society, there is a condemning of older women as, women are older women in certain circles, in people who are not as aware, cast aside. If you follow Paulina Paritskova, she was like an 80s model and she's in her 50s, and she doesn't color her hair. She doesn't do any injectables. She still has that beautiful figure. But of course, as we get older, skin loosens and all of it. And she publishes and posts all of this, and she gets such what's the word called, these people that are trolls on the internet that are like, you're too old and blah blah blah, and she's just like a huge advocate for this crone energy, which I just love. She's able to, and I really believe Paulina is embodiment of this empowered crone. She's potent in her wisdom. She sees through all the authenticity and these patterns of these trolls and this insecurity. This woman, this crone essence, is pure because she's closest to source energy. She knows that she's able to surrender to life in her wisdom. She's like, oh, I don't give a fuck anymore. But as we see with women as they're getting older, there's a distortion around fighting that, because the dyeing of the hair, the injectables, looking and dressing a certain way. And you see when a woman is not in her, I want to say, the surrender of where she's at, it's like that crazy, filler look, like those lips and this, it just looks so distorted. And so, that shadow crone energy is brutal. She might be a hermit and she doesn't, go and socialize. She might be judgmental against herself and others. She's bitter, unforgiving, jaded, lonely, self-pitying, and defeated, right? So there's that older energy of some women who are, just feel hopeless at the end of their lives instead of empowered. It's like, oh, I'm at the, sunset of my life, and they feel bitter, self-pitying, and defeated. They don't see that there's anything to live for. If you, let's say, are in the earlier stages of your life and you're still getting your period, this is the menstruation. This is like the letting go. This is like the purity of the complete let go. And we all know when you get your period, it's like, oh, as soon as you get it, there's this huge relief. This season is winter. And the cool thing about winter is it seems like nothing's happening, but this time is potent. This stillness, this inner, inner way. How am I going to say this? This way of being inside is very, very potent. Winter seems like nothing's happening, but underneath the soil, the void, if you will, creation is about to start again. So this is the dark moon phase, this part when it's dark. It's like right before the moon becomes new, and there's like that little crescent. Dark moon is like nothing, it's the void. And the rite of passage is menopause. So the crone are for all the women that have gone through menopause. They are no longer in childbearing years, but she is the most potent in her wisdom. She is the elder who is highly revered in every other culture except for ours. So this is the best part of the cycle. If you're still going through your cycle when you have your menstruation, what do you want to do? You want to rest. You don't have to be physically active to be productive. You might want to get clear on a future project. You might want to just be present of what's rising in you. Um, so, many of us are so much more comfortable in the pre-ovulation and the ovulation, right? It feels more comfortable. Like life is birthing in us. We're in full flow. And then that premenstrual menstruation is like we resist. But there is wisdom and a power in the premenstrual menstruation phase. When you listen to your body and the pain and what's rising, if you don't numb or push through, you're able to unlock potent power that you're able to channel. Because again, it's like, what's bothering me? And people are like, oh, you're PMS. No, it's like, I've been pushing this shit off all month or for a long time, and I get to really look at what is here. There has been such a shame also around getting our periods, right? Like you have to hide, the feminine hygiene things, like, oh, whatever. But it's like, no, those are ancient patriarchal wounds. That's every single woman knows we're getting our periods. Every single man knows that we have periods, and that's their thing if they can't handle it. And it is a gift to be able to go through these cycles and honor them. I always told my daughter that if she's not feeling well and she doesn't want to go to school on her period, she doesn't have to. That's a radical statement. It's more important that my daughter honor her inner cycle, her pain, her discomfort, than learn shit at school that she doesn't even need. I'm telling you. In ancient times, women would gather in the red tent. And if you've never read the book, The Red Tent, or there's a film, The Red Tent, I encourage you to watch it. All of the women of the tribe would gather in the red tent for their periods. And they would be allowed to rest and restore in connection and community with women. And it would be the place where all of the cycles were honored. Women would birth in the red tent away from the men. And I just think it's really important for women to know this information. And again, as I'm raising my daughter, for her to honor her body as opposed to like, I've got to push through school. I'm uncomfortable. If whatever, she takes a day off a month, I don't care. I really don't. And the truth is it takes a very empowered mother to be able to say that to her daughter, to say, I trust you. I trust what your body's telling you, and I'm honoring that wisdom. And she doesn't do it every month, but if it's painful for her, I let her. Because it's just as important as honoring if she wasn't feeling well and her throat was scratchy. Okay. So people who have problems or pains with their menstrual cycle and they're getting pregnant, that is very indicative of a sacral chakra blockage and need of womb healing. And that's something that I do with my female clients. I have helped many women heal their wombs. I've helped many women get pregnant. I've helped many women with their periods. Again, our wombs are the energetic space of birth, birthing children, birthing ideas, and so often guilt and shame get stuck in our sexual pleasure centers. So I hope this was informational. Again, when I read all of this in Rebecca's book, it is Rise, Sister, Rise. I give her so much credit as being a mentor and teacher to me. And again, my experience in being a woman, in being a mother to my daughter as she's in this process, and honoring myself in this process. I've gone through menopause. I'm 52 years old. I just literally just went through menopause. It's an interesting process going through these transitions, honoring where I'm at in this embodied wisdom place, holding space. And I got a really clear vision for myself as we're entering this new earth, this place where all of these old frameworks, this patriarchy, masculine dominated energy is collapsing as the rise of the divine feminine, the beautiful feminine. I saw a vision that the reason that I am this age, that I am this stage, and then it's going to probably take another 10 years of going through this crazy life of what we're experiencing on a global level, is I, as an older woman, I guess in 10 years will be 62 years old, and it'll be the celebration of the crone. It'll be the return of the full embodiment of the goddess, the wisdom of the older woman. There's going to be no more need for distortion and filling and, listen, we're older. We've been here on this planet, and I can't, and no other woman should expect to have and look and be exactly as we did in our 20s. It's just not possible. So we can age with grace. We can embrace those light aspects of all of our femininity, no matter where you are in chronological age, where you are in your cycle. And each month, as you go through the cycle, if you are someone who still gets her period, you can honor those stages. And each of them have wisdom, each of them have gifts, and if you choose to look at it through that lens. If you think this was helpful, please send it to someone who you think might enjoy it. Thank you. See you next time. Bye. That's it for this week's episode of Mondays with Marcy. Be sure to subscribe to my newsletter at marcybaronclears.com. I also would love for you to follow me on your favorite podcasting app so that you don't miss a single episode. I'm Marcy Baron, and thanks for listening. I am so grateful you are here.